On this week's episode, we are doing our first ever Q&A.
We are answering questions that you guys sent us on Insta and other places.
So stick around.
Hi, and welcome to Rare with Flair,
The podcast where two best friends with the same rare disease are out here living our best lives. I'm your host, Casey.
and I'm your host, Cassandra. Wow, girl, we've had a wild couple of weeks. I feel like it's felt like forever since we last recorded.
We're barely friends anymore because...
It's not, we did not fight.
No. We just have not been able to talk for a long time because Cass traveled and then I traveled right after it and just got home yesterday. And if my voice is, I just have to always point out if my voice is a little froggy and I have a little cold.
I'm fine. You've got like the sexy low voice.
I know, I got that. But don't you always feel the need to point it out when your voice sounds different on a podcast so people won't be like, are you okay?
Yeah.
But how were your travels?
They were good. I think the only place I went between the last recording and this one was I traveled for work. I went to Chicago and I got to do like real research for work, and it was really cool to be part of that and watch real researchers. And like, for those who don't know, I'm an accessibility subject matter expert. I like consult on accessibility related matters, not just because I'm blind, but because I've worked in the field for some time actually, and it's really cool. And I also am finishing up my master's degree in user experience design, and I have learned that I really like research, meaning like it's kind of sociology based, where like you just ask people about things they do and don't like, and you kind of try to make their lives better. It's fun. I don't know.
No, it's awesome. And I really am so impressed. And I love that you got to go to Chicago just because that's like such a cool place for work. And I'm always so fascinated when you come back with your stories, and user research is really interesting.
It really is. And like, again, shout out to Case, who for all of my grad school projects, actually there's a project I think I need you to be part of. I was going to
say, speaking of which, I am available. Because I never reply. See, we haven't talked. Now we're literally catching up live on this podcast right now. I am available to be a research participant for you.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
but tell us about your trip.
I went to California.
California.
I also went for work, but also a little bit of play because I went a day early and went to Disneyland for the first time ever.
Oh my gosh.
As you know, that's pretty cool to do in general, but as like a Disney fan, that really was on my bucket list why did I just say it like bucket list? It really was like a high priority for me to at least go once, because I've been to Disney World quite a few times, but never Land, and I've always wanted to, and the pandemic ruined it last time I was supposed to. So that was great. And then I did some work out there too and just got back yesterday. So I'm glad.
Tell us some of the highlights from
the
Disneyland.
Highlights. I was telling Cass, I really like the character interaction, because at Disneyland, they're walking around more, and at in Disney World, they used to back in my day when I remember those days. I remember those days when they walked around. But now, if you don't know, you kind of have to more like go to a designated line to meet the characters in Disney World. So yeah, it was very charming in that way, and it's just cool to compare the two. The parks are very similar but different as well, and it's cool to walk where Walt walked. You know, he never got to go to Disney World. And so I got to see his apartment, which was above the fire station. That's so
cool.
I mean, I didn't go in it. Oh no, I didn't.
No, but like I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's right. Well, it's not on Main Street, but it's like right when you walk in, where the town hall is. It's kind of around there.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's definitely a cool experience for sure.
That's a blast.
Any other life updates for you? You know what? I do want to say can you believe it's almost been a full year since we changed our tagline of the two best friends?
And that leads me to the next thing I was going to say, which is that after this episode has already come out, it will have been Casey's birthday, our very own co-host of this show, Casey Greer.
It's true.
Casey!
Yay! It's been a year since you visited.
I keep thinking about that, and it makes me want to cry because I want to do it again.
I know.
Now,
it was literally perfect in every way.
Yeah, it really was.
It really was. It really was. I think about watching Avatar with you, just all the things. Or
late night chats on your
late night chats, baking.
We went to the cool bookstore novel.
Oh my gosh. It literally makes me want to cry.
The tea time? Shut up.
Even the party was my birthday party. It was so great. I miss it, but we changed the tagline. Can you believe it's been a year, though, since we've been saying that new tagline?
No.
Do any of you OGs remember does anybody remember what the old one was listening? Let us know.
Yeah. I feel like I want to say it, but I don't because I know that it'll ruin my brain and I will continue to say the old tagline.
Don't say it. Just go back and listen if you need to, everybody. Go back.
Scroll back to anything beyond last November.
Oh my gosh. Well,
so special. Are you doing anything fun?
I'm keeping it low key because last year I kind of went hard. It was a milestone birthday, and this year is not. And I kind of like that there's not really any kind of high expectation. I'm hopefully gonna go to my favorite bookstore. I'm gonna celebrate with my family. My nephew and I basically share a birthday. He's the day after me, so we're gonna.
Oh my gosh, I think of your family's party too, and I got to meet your grandma.
I know, so
Mama.
Nice. Yes, and so gonna have a little family party. Gonna go to my favorite bookstore, and that's pretty much all I want to do. I think going to Disneyland was enough for me. I can rest for a while. That was my birthday present to myself.
True.
So
Are you going to have to travel anymore this year?
No!
Yay! Even better gift.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy about that. And not that I don't enjoy it. I actually do, but man,
I'm traveling so much.
I'm just so excited to just be home for Christmas and Thanksgiving and the holidays.
That's going to make it feel extra cozy too.
I'm excited. Are you traveling anymore this year?
I am not. I'm not. Yeah, I had to think about that for a second. I know. I'm kind of glad because for Christmas this year, my brother and sister-in-law are coming to visit, which is going to be fun.
That's going to be awesome. Yeah, yesterday was my 24th flight of the year.
Gosh, girl. Girl.
Not one of them has been for leisure. They have only been for work or health related.
Wait, really?
Yeah, because
you haven't gone on a legit vacation.
I've gone on a legit vacation, but it's been all of them have been flying. Car. Oh yeah, I've been on quite a few fun things, but it's all car stuff, not flying.
Wild. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You got to make that a priority next year.
Yeah. I am.
Take a flying vacation. I
am taking a few actually to see friends, including maybe someone I'm speaking to at the moment.
Whoa, who's that?
But yeah, next year will be that year. So that's going to be exciting.
Very exciting.
But we're excited because we're doing we have answered questions.
We've wanted to do this for a long time.
Yeah, we have. We've answered questions before, but we've never done an actual fully dedicated Q&A episode. Ooh. We asked you for questions and you delivered with some good ones. Thank you to people we only asked you a few days in advance, but you definitely delivered some good questions. Thank you to everyone who did.
Yeah, and kind of across the board, we got some disability related questions and some just more questions about things that we've talked about that we like. So I think it'll be a fun little mix. We're just gonna gonna pepper them in between each other to keep your attention coming.
Yes.
Keep you guessing. We don't know.
Yes. We're excited.
So, would you like to begin?
Sure. Well, I need to get it. Okay. So, Seeing It My Way asked, what electronic brand do you guys think has the best accessibility features? And I think, Cass, I know this is personal preference, but this is literally your profession. Like, you have a professional opinion on this. You have a lot of experience in accessibility, and you know more than most people. So I think your opinion holds some weight.
You're really building this up for me
sorry.
to just reply with Apple. Okay. And I have long time been an Apple girly. So when I was like 9, my parents got a family computer, which makes me sound old saying that, but like a family computer.
Family, yes. That's
in the
how
computer
it was.
room, aka the basement.
Right.
So they got a Mac because our Windows, I think, had some virus or something and died. So they got a Mac, and I remember it being this really big deal because it was going to be really different. But I remember very quickly I just started playing with it, and I very much, you know how you see like these days kids with phones and they just take to them?
Yep. Oh yeah.
I was always like that with tech. And so I really took to this computer, and I discovered, it didn't take me very long to find, I wanted to play with all the settings. I wanted to change the colors of everything because I knew that was something that I could do. And I stumbled on the zoom feature just by happenstance. Yeah. And it like revolutionized my life. So I'm able to use the computer and full screen zoom since I was like really young. And that's how I use tech. We did a whole episode on like assistive tech, and I think I kind of had talked about this, where like it's like viewing like a portion of your screen at a time. Like it's almost like it's very quite literally magnifying into bits of your screen, and you can move your mouse around and pan on the screen. And I straight up don't know how other people with low vision use computers, because like I would have so much eye strain if I weren't able to do that. So I think that like the magnifier that's built into like Apple and iOS, meaning like iPhones, iPads, is, I've used the Android magnification. I've used like the Windows mag that's built in. I've used Zoom Text. I just think the Mac one is far superior. Zoom Text crashes my computer. Like the other ones are kind of a little bit wonky. It's not as smooth. I really like the Apple Zoom.
Yeah. I love that you, as a 9-year-old, it was pretty clear. It was pretty clear what your career path would be just from that story. You can kind of see where you ended up today. Makes a lot of sense. It makes. I
remember actually. So there's a similar story to that where I remember it was like one of the first touchscreen phones. And I was young when I had a phone. I think it was like 12 when I had this phone specifically. But I remember I learned how to, like, I figured out, again, on accident, but how to, like, enlarge the font on my texts. And I ran to my mom. I was like, look at what I can do. I can make the font big. And she was like, have you ever considered going into computers? Like, she literally told me this, and I was like 12.
Wow. So wait, was your first phone a touchscreen phone?
It was not.
Okay.
It was not. I had the little Firefly phone when I was young, because my parents were like, okay, she can't see, and we need to pick her up from school and activities. Yeah. So she should have a device that we can help communicate with her, that we can find her. So I had that tiny little phone. If anyone like remembers it, it had like the 4 buttons that you can call like your mom and your dad and like 5 friends.
I love that.
It was so cute. I loved it so much.
My answer would also be Apple, but unlike you, I did not have a Mac until college. We grew up as like PC people. I had a Dell computer as like our family computer, and then I had a Dell laptop in high school. And I don't know why I moved to Apple. I think, you got a good deal for being a college student.
Yeah.
And so I needed a new laptop, and I got a good deal for it. And it did take me like, maybe a week to be like, everything is different, because it's an adjustment. But I really do think the accessibility features are great. And as far as the iPhone goes, it's pretty much all I could ever want. I've never used an Android, so I wouldn't know. So I can't really be like the authoritative voice on this or whatever. But the iPhone does everything I need it to do, and I really like the Zoom feature on it. And of course, we are both speaking as people who mainly rely on Zoom, and we like, people with less vision than us might do mostly voiceover software, and they don't use the Zoom as much. But for me, I mostly am a Zoom girl. So, and by Zoom, I'm not talking about the video chat. I feel
like, oh my gosh, I know, right?
It like
that
sounds
really
like
complicates
that.
Things.
I know. So anyway, I love Apple too, and I think it's really changed my life. I use my phone just all the time for things. It's really, I really don't know what I would do without it. I would have to have a lot of different tools.
Exactly. Like my phone is not only like my phone and my navigation device, but it's also like my magnifier. Like I don't have to carry a magnifier because I have my phone, and I can use the magnifier that's built into it that uses the camera. And it's like, it's everything.
I use the magnifier all the time.
It's amazing. Like, how else can I read pieces of mail? Girl, I got a piece of, it's like relevant. I got some mail from like the HOA, and I was like, okay, what are they up to? And I was sitting like my mom was visiting. I was sitting next to my mom, and I was reading this letter with my eyeballs. And the lighting was really good. Like there was a lot of, like there was a lamp, and like my dimmable light was like the brightest it could be. Girl, I just could not. I could not read that. I was like, I got as far as I could. I was like, okay, my eyes hurt. It's phone time now.
Yep. When it comes to medicine bottles, microwave instructions, receipts, like my phone. It's my phone, man. It's my phone.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Great question.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that question.
So for our next question, Creative Vision Crochet asked, have you guys ever heard about the American Nystagmus Network?
Great question. I think I have heard of it, yes. But I really don't know much about it at all. I've never been involved in it. I'm sure it's more broad because there are some people with just nystagmus who don't necessarily have another condition associated with it. And I think some people can also get nystagmus later in life, or it could be like a neurological thing. And like nystagmus, the vision can also vary a lot. So as we've talked about a lot on this podcast, I've been pretty involved with NOAA, which is the albinism organization, and the HPS network. And I think those are kind of the networks that I gravitate towards because it's just so specifically what we are going through. I know Cass has done a bit with the NFB and things like that, but no, I haven't specifically been involved with the Nystagmus network, but I'm pretty sure I knew it existed. What about you?
Yeah, I am pretty much in the same boat. I think with us, and I don't want to speak for you, but at least for me, I have so many problems. So many different like health related issues that have cool orgs that support them, and I'm really glad that those exist because those are really powerful community builders. But I have to pick carefully because one only has so much time and money to go to different conferences and meet people, and I'm sure it's another great community. Yeah, I've just not had any experience because, like he said, we tend to go more with like the NOAA and the HPS network. I mean, by the way, we have Hermansky-Pudlak syndrome. Surprise if you're new here.
Yeah.
So the Hermansky-Pudlak syndrome network being like the org that supports us directly. And I've been involved with other orgs, like Case said. So I've worked with the American Council of the Blind and the National Federation of the Blind, and they're great. When I was in undergrad, I actually had applied and received scholarships from them to, finish my undergrad degree, which was really, really helpful. And they're really great orgs. And I've learned a ton being involved with them, especially because I really didn't have many opportunities to be with a lot of totally blind people or people who had less vision than me. I had been involved in like places like NOAA and the HPS network, but a lot of people see probably like us or a little bit better. And so it was really, and that's when I learned about guide dogs, was actually because I went to the ACB convention and I started talking to people who had various degrees of like vision loss. And I was like, please tell me about your experience and how does a guide dog help you? And that really was what kickstarted my journey. So I'm sure that like if we were involved with them, we would still get tremendous value because it's hard not to.
Yeah. But then we have we have a bleeding disorder. We could get involved with that. You have Girls with Guts, which is for your ostomy and
right. And I haven't been involved in Girls with Guts for many years because again, like one only has so much time, but they're a great org.
Right. And then we have ATS, which is the American Thoracic Society.
There's so many orgs, you guys.
We have so many problems, you guys.
We have so many problems.
So many problems. So yeah, there's just really not enough time in the day, is there, for all of our problems?
There really is not. But
not.
Always like hearing about new places, and we hope that for those that are involved with the Nystagmus Association that you get like good community out of it.
Absolutely. So we hope if you that asked that question, if you're involved, we hope that it's great. And thank you for the question. It's a great one.
Love it. We love it. Thank you so much.
So
we have some questions coming up about cartoons.
I know a lot of you probably aren't here for this, so we can make this section a little more brief. But actually, some of you asked us questions about cartoons a little bit ago that we just never got around to answering. So we figured, we hope you're listening. We figured we would just answer it here. 2 different people after our cartoon episode reached out and asked us about specific shows, if we had seen them or not. And so thank you for caring. Thank you for liking our cartoon episode because we had so much fun.
Well, and we love doing it, but we were like amongst ourselves. We were like, no one listened to this. We're positive no one listened to this.
Right. We were positive.
But then like 2 questions came in after we had already had that like conversation. We were like, you know what? It may not be for everyone, but we love that it's for some of you guys and that you've connected in that way.
So you both were kind of listing a few shows, asking if we had seen them. So we can kind of just answer this quickly. I'll read Ashley Morgan's question first. Thank you, Ashley. Ashley asked, I'll read the full question first, and then we can kind of answer as we go, okay? We can answer after. So the full question is, have you watched She-Ra, Princesses of Power, My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, or the Barbie Life in the Dream House series? So, and she also says they're all on Netflix and She-Ra is audio described. So, let's answer that. Have we watched She-Ra, Princesses of Power?
Oh, yes. And it is on our list to do our little buddy watch with because I've seen this show like twice. It's so good.
We have both watched it separately, but just not together, but it is phenomenal. Really great show. Really great
top to bottom, like the character development, the plot. It's just so good.
It's so good. The next one, My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic.
We actually just got done watching this together.
Yes, and we had both watched it prior separately, but we just did a little buddy watch of it.
Case was the one who had told me about My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, and I was going through like a dark time in my life. I had just been hit by a car, and I was like, Casey, I need something uplifting.
Yeah. I was like, I got you. And I think it did maybe help a little much as it could.
Very much helped, I gotta say.
I'm glad. I'm so glad. And then the third one is Barbie Life in the Dream House. I have watched this.
I have not watched this.
I watched it in college with my roommates, and it is such a riot. It's so funny. It's good. It's silly and kind of campy, but like in the best way. So maybe we'll add it to the list, Cass.
We really should. It's
funny.
I love campy, though.
It's funny. Yeah, it's been a while, and I might not have seen all of it, but I've seen enough to know that it's fun. So thank you for asking, and thank you for like recommending them too.
We love that. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And it's always also fun to provide these recs to our listeners who are also cartoon friends.
Yeah.
So Kim messaged us, thank you, Kim, on Insta, and had mentioned some of her favorites after hearing the episode. And she mentioned that some of her favorites are like Avatar: The Last Airbender, which we had talked about on our cartoons app, which we of course adore. She also brought up She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, so it's like, rest assured, it is absolutely on our list, and we'll have to reprise the cartoon when we have a few more cartoons to talk about.
Yeah, we have two more series that we've watched since the cartoon episode, so we're well on our way to doing it.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna start a third one in like the next days.
We are. Mm-hmm.
Very exciting. Kim also mentioned The Legend of Korra, the sequel to the Avatar: The Last Airbender series.
Yes, we have both separately watched The Legend of Korra. We have not done it for our buddy watch. I really enjoy it. I definitely enjoy Avatar: The Last Airbender a good bit more, which I think is kind of most people's opinion.
Yeah, but, I'm with that too.
Tenzin is like a huge... The character of Tenzin is a huge fictional crush for me.
It's very in line with a lot of Casey's fictional crushes, though. 100%. I won't out you further, but I love that so much.
So like,
Tenzin is very attractive.
I love Tenzin, and I think the other best part of Korra is seeing all the Avatar gang, like seeing all those flashbacks. I mean, there's a lot to love about Korra. It's fun.
It really is. And she did ask, if either of us have seen Kipo and I think I'm pronouncing that right. Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts, which I think I've seen like adverted to me on Netflix.
I've seen, I think, the pilot. I've seen one episode, and I didn't not continue because I didn't like it. You can ask Cass. I do this a lot. I'll kind of start at something and then not. So I do need to give it like an actual shot, but I know of it. Yeah, I do know of it. And so thank you for that recommendation.
Yeah, and then the last one was The Dragon Prince, which I've also seen recommended to me on Netflix because I watch a lot of cartoons.
I have seen this. It's really good. So it's the creators.
Is it really?
Yes, it is very good. It's the creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So this is what happened with The Dragon Prince. I watched the whole first season. I really enjoyed it. And then it took such a long time for the second season to come out that by the time it did, I thought, I need to start it over again so I remember, and then I never did. But there's a good deaf representation in it. There's a deaf character.
Is there really?
Uh-huh.
That's cool.
Yeah, that stands out to me. So yeah.
I love that. Bonus question. So thank you so much, Kim, for those recommendations. I would love to watch those. One bonus question from me, Cass, your co-host. Are there any cartoons that you have watched on your own that have not been mentioned that you have enjoyed lately?
Well, Cass, I'm glad you asked. You're welcome. I know that it's not on my own, but I did want to say that Cass and I just finished watching Hilda together.
Yes.
And I just want to take this moment to recommend Hilda to anyone listening. Hilda is on Netflix. It is audio described. It is
such a treat.
It is a treat. It is wonderful, magical, glorious. I can't sing its praises enough. If you
emphasis on the magical too. It's like
it's magical.
It's very cottagecore, like got magic in the world and kind of coming of age and the beautiful fall toned color palette.
Yeah.
And lovely music. Like, man, it's
great.
So amazing to watch.
And I know you just finished a cartoon that was a fun ride.
I did. So I watched this show. So my mom teaches high school, and her students were talking about this show called Miraculous Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir. And I was like, okay, sure, I'll give this a whirl. I love animation, and it's like computer animated. You know what? I got really into this show. Like, at first it took a little bit of a slow burn, and it's kind of it starts a little formulaic, and it kind of is. Superhero show where the two main characters are teens and they've got like secret identities, and you're like, okay, this is fine. But the plot does thicken, and I was already just kind of, it's simple, and the characters I found pretty endearing anyway. So I just like, I got so into it to the point where like the Netflix version of this show is not the same as like the Disney Plus version of this show, surprisingly. Oh. So like the Disney Plus one is I think more of the complete story. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to watch it, do it there. And they have AD on Disney Plus. It's also dubbed. So originally, I think it's French. So it kind of watches like an anime. But You know what? I really enjoyed that show. And I kind of miss it because it was a really good background watch too.
Oh, that's great. So for any of you who like cartoons, there are some recs for you.
Absolutely. So away from cartoons, we do have other questions.
We do. So we'll start with Scott. Sent us 2 questions. Thank you, Scott. I'll start with your first one. Do you have any funny or embarrassing stories using speech-to-text software or autocorrect where something might have been misinterpreted or misunderstood in a text message? That's a good one. That is a good one.
I feel like everyone's had that.
I think for sure. You know, I couldn't think of a great story or a great moment off the top of my head, but I will say one of my closest friends and my brother-in-law have nearly identical names.
Oh, no.
So we have Mitchell Goddard and Michelle Godbold.
No!
Well, so her name is actually changed now, thank goodness, because she got married. Thank you for getting married, Michelle.
It's personally beneficial to you.
I had them in my phone with their first and last names. And, you know, people do nicknames sometimes in the phone, but mostly I just have first and last names. I'm kind of boring like that. And there were many times I would try to text one and I would text the other, or like one of them would text me something and I'd be like, that's weird for them to text me that. And then I would realize it was the other person or, you know, like, and I know that that's not what you asked, Scott, exactly, but it is kind of a visual like mistake because like their names it kind of like shows how we actually read because we just see like the shape of words and we're like, that looks like that person's name. Right. And really we're not actually seeing all the letters in the word. We're seeing like the shape of the word. And so I've had many funny moments texting them, and I think I finally did change her last name to her new last name in my phone, so it's fine now. But with both of them being people who are like often at the top of my text list, I thought that was kind of a funny thing to share. And I just outed their full names, so don't go stalk them, I guess. But whoops.
I really can't think of. So I don't use a lot of speech to text. Because if I'm going to send a long message, I'm going to call someone.
Or audio memo.
Voice memo texts.
Voice memo texts.
Now, I will say, so in the new iOS update, voice memos now come with transcripts, which I think is really funny because sometimes I'll skim a transcript, which it comes in so if you have the font enlarged on your phone, you'll be able to, the font enlarges on the transcripts too. So if I can't hear Casey's message, I'll it's usually you because the other people who would send me voice memos haven't updated their phones. And so you're the only one that I can use it with for now.
That's so funny.
But I'll skim through the transcript and be like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is she saying? And like, I think like, I'm trying to think of an example too, because I read this question yesterday and I really couldn't think of anything off the top of my head.
I have an example. I don't want to cut you off, but I have one.
No, please cut me off.
So Cassandra recently was talking about Cartier, which is a jewelry brand and like a fine jewelry brand. And it said cartoon in there.
Yes! That's the best correction!
Which is so funny because we love cartoons. We just talked about cartoons. And you said, you were talking about it. It said cartoon. And I knew what you meant. But sometimes I do the same thing. I like read. I know. Isn't that a good one? I thought. And I never told you. So now I'm telling you now. Like, I never got to tell you that. And I thought it was so funny. Because, like, of course, the text to speech is not going to know what Cartier is. I mean, like, it's going to be cart something. Cartoon.
Yeah. Cartoon. Definitely cartoons.
They're probably talking, like, our phones are, like, scrambling. They're probably talking about cartoons.
Right. The AI in our phone is terrified.
And then sometimes
I don't know what she said.
Like, sometimes it's weirdly good, though, where you're like, wow, it got that really random word that, So.
Yeah. Or, like, it'll sometimes get people's names and spell them right, and I wonder if it's because it's in my phone.
Oh, freaky.
I don't know.
No, you're right. You're right. But that isn't actually a really funny thing to bring up, though, because it's true. And you should try it out if you update your phone and you send voice memo text.
It is really awesome. And, like, it is accessible with, voiceover. So if you are a voiceover user, you can, like, tap into the transcript and, like, hear it read out even. The benefit of that over just listening to the voice memo is that, like, if you're a skilled voiceover user, I'm not, but I know about it from work. You can have it read like sentences at a time, where you can speed up the reading speed, which you couldn't do if you were like just listening to the transcript, or you can navigate by like sentences or by words, or and it's easier to like, if you want to rewind, it's like harder to do that on voice memos. I don't know. Anyway, bonus of updating your phone. So we have a question from Noah, and we have 2 questions from Noah and 2 questions from Scott. So we're kind of alternating. So one of Noah's questions is, this is a really good and very loaded question. When do you disclose your blindness versus masking? I'm in my job app era right now. Which, honestly, first of all, thanks for asking this question, but also I'm so sorry. Job applications can be rough. So
yeah.
You have our condolences.
Yeah. So based on that, I'm assuming Noah is talking about in the context of a job. But I
think so.
We can kind of answer it both ways. Mm-hmm. Do you want to go first?
It's just like, where do you begin? I think in terms of jobs, I think I choose more, if I had to choose between masking and disclosing, I would lean more toward disclosure, mostly because of the nature of the work that I do. Since I'm involved in accessibility, it does, there are people who are in the accessibility field that don't have disabilities. So I think it adds on, for me personally, it adds on to my, I guess, credentials as someone who knows about accessibility and also has lived experience needing accessibility accommodations, that I'm in this field. And so I can provide like just extra context that other people might not know. That being said, though, before I was in the accessibility field, I was applying to just like software development jobs, and I have a guide dog, so there's only so much masking that I can really do in an interview setting. At that point, I just kind of lean in, and, I don't make it my whole personality, but it is there, and I try to, like, address the elephant in the room because I have a guide dog, and I can't make her disappear.
Right. Right. And even if you don't have a guide dog, if you have nystagmus is one of those weird things where like sometimes it's really obvious to people and sometimes it's not at all. But I wouldn't want someone to think I'm like high or like a lot of people, if they see nystagmus and they don't know what's going on, they could think you're nervous or you're under the influence of something, or like you don't want people to get the wrong idea. I'm kind of I lean toward disclosing as well. And the older I get, the more, even just in life, even if we're not talking about work, even just in life, I just don't care anymore. Like I just say it, like I get it out of the way because it clears up a lot of confusion in general. And also, you don't have to disclose that you're blind, but if you're going to need accommodations in the job anyway, you're going to have to let them know at some point anyway. And most of the time we will need accommodations, or it's just good to let people know in case a situation does come up later where you might not need accommodations at first, but you might need them later and you might not want to be in an awkward position. But I kind of have trouble giving people advice about that because it really is a person by person choice. And I have disclosed it before, and I've gotten myself in a bad situation from that once where I was discriminated against. And we talk about that in our jobs episode if you want to listen. We did a whole episode on that where we kind of talk about this more. But I think disclosing for me feels right, and it kind of gets my nervousness out of the way. I feel better after letting them know.
Yeah. It's about nystagmus. It makes me think the blind influencer YouTuber Molly Burke posted a reel recently. She also has nystagmus with a different eye condition, and she was like, it's funny because I've talked to people and it seems like it's either the first thing people notice about me or the very last thing that people notice about me.
Yep.
And it really is like that.
Yeah.
And it does depend on, I think, the field that you're in, because Case, you've been in acting spaces, and I think like that's way more noticed.
Yes,
there.
Absolutely. Because when you're acting, like, especially if you're being critiqued on purpose, they're gonna nitpick everything about how you look, and they're gonna notice it. Like, they're gonna notice it way more than maybe if you're just talking to someone, because they're looking right at you. It's not. I feel like when you're kind of just having a conversation with someone, you're obviously not making eye contact the entire time. Like, you're going to look away. But yeah, in the acting space, it was noticed a lot more.
So I think it really does depend, like, the field that you're in.
Yeah, that's true.
If you do really want to mask for, your own privacy, there are spaces where you could probably get away with it easier than others. But I would choose your battles carefully is my advice. And I mean, the times I do find myself masking, it's funny. Either when I'm with strangers, it's either like fully in or fully out in a lot of ways. Like, I either just mask to the point that like nobody knows, or like doesn't seem to notice because it's a short time and I may never run into these people again. Yeah. Or if I'm somewhere like the airport where I know I'm going to need maybe more assistance, I will very much disclose, and I will be, I kind of lean into the blindness more because I want assistance. Yep.
It's so true. It's so true. You can lean into it more. You can play that blind card a bit if you have to, Yeah. Just saying. But great question, Noah. Thank you. We will come.
And best of luck with your job apps.
Yes, we will come back to your question. So, then we have Scott's other question, which is a two-parter. The first question is for me, and the second question is for you. Okay. First question is for Casey. I know you're a fan of Lucy.
This is very much for Casey. I'm so sorry. I had dinner.
I love this so much. I know you're a fan of Lucy Maud Montgomery and her novel, Anne of Green Gables, set in Prince Edward Island. I was wondering if the island would be on your vacation bucket list. If so, what would you hope to experience or do during your visit? And then the part 2 of that question is for Cassandra. Cassandra, if you ever had the opportunity to visit a novel, like a location from a novel or setting, I'm just going to say that again. What novel, location, or setting would be on your vacation bucket list? And what would you like to do or experience there? That's a fun question.
I love that. That is so cool.
Yes, for those of you who don't know, Anne of Green Gables is set on Prince Edward Island, which is in Canada. And Scott, this is 100% a bucket list item for me.
Oh my gosh.
I have wanted to go there for a long time. And there are so many things I would want to do. There are so many locations in the book that she talks about. Anne is a very imaginative character, so she kind of makes stories about different locations. Like there's the Lake of Shining Waters, and there's the Haunted Woods, and there is Lover's Lane, and there's all these places, and they're like real places. They're real places that you can go see.
That's so cool.
And even Green Gables is a real house that you can go tour. I think Ellen Montgomery's grave is there. I think they have like a bunch of stuff for the fans of Anne. So yeah, I would love it. And also it's just like a beautiful place too. And I even have read that there's like, I think like a tea party there, which is like so me. So
love that.
I would love to do that, Scott. It actually has always been somewhere I would love to go. So thank you for asking. Cass, what about you?
To my part of this question, when I was in like middle grades, I don't remember how old I was, but I read this book. Is it a very great book? I don't really know. I think I reread it a couple of years ago. But it's called Every Soul a Star, but like the setting of this, it's like rotating third person perspective narration. So there are like 3 different main teen characters that all kind of cross paths on this like basically big ranch type. It's not even like a farm, but I think it's up in like the middle of nowhere, and I don't even remember where it is. I think it actually might also be in Canada, where the people who like run this compound are like astronomers, and the climax of this book takes place around a solar eclipse. Oh. And I was always really, really wanting to see a solar eclipse after I read that book, because the way that it was described, I feel like the author probably had an experience like it and centered a novel around it. The way it's described is just so it's like there's like this moment in the eclipse where like they call it the Ring of Diamonds, I think, where it's like beams of light that are like around the hidden sun. Oh. And like they're like the lawn or wherever you're standing is like dotted with lights, and it's very like ethereal, and it sounds so cool.
Oh.
Like,
did you see the one in 2017?
So it didn't pass over where I was, but there's gonna be a like Dayton, which is close to where I grew up. They're going to be in the region of totality, which is kind of insane because eclipses will happen just wherever. You can be like in a boat in Argentina and see an eclipse. Like you kind of have to go far. But the fact that it's going over basically my hometown,
oh my gosh. When is this?
It's right after the conference too. So we're like trying to leave and get back.
Wow.
I wish like my dream would have been, because like it's a lot to coordinate. My dream would have been to like have someone who had like a nice telescope with the solar filters and stuff that I could have like really seen it, but I still feel like experiencing it would be really, really cool. So I don't want to miss the eclipse.
Well, that's so cool. I love that answer. I don't want to like add on another answer since mine was very specific, but I will say I would like to go to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
Yeah, we were just talking about this too, because like I don't know, Casey's rereading the books, I rewatched the movies. It was good for the season. Yeah. And I would love, we were talking about like trying to make that happen together. I feel like it'd be super fun. I went a few years ago. It was a blast.
Amazing.
I had such a good time.
Amazing. Thank you, Scott, for your questions.
We love it. Thank you so much, Scott. And can I just say that I love that Scott knows you that well.
I know. I feel so
that he would ask a question like this.
I was like, if I get to talk about Anne, oh my gosh, I'm so happy.
That's awesome. So, I mean, hey, if we do another Q&A, for sure be like on the lookout. Our last question is really quick, though, also from Noah. Barely a question, but I want to talk sports. Cass, do you still run since high school cross country? And the answer is no, I do not.
But hey, look at how well Noah knew you to know that you used to run cross country.
Yeah, for those, again,
Thanks,
this
Noah.
is new knowledge for you. I used to run cross country from 7th grade through 11th grade.
That's a long time.
It was a long time. I also ran track 8th grade. So, a glimpse into my cross country career. So this is very accurate to my life as a person. I'm not the initiator, but if a friend asks me to do something, I will like move heaven and earth in order to do that thing.
Which is very wing 7, Enneagram wing 7 of you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So like I had a friend who was in 8th grade when I was in 7th grade, and she was like, "Hey, I'm on the cross country team and I'm the only girl. You should join." And I didn't know what cross country was, and I was like, "Absolutely."
There you go.
So I was not a good runner. I hated exercise. I told my parents I was going to do this, and they were like, "You hate exercise." But I did it, and I did get pretty good. I got pretty decent. I got to my best time on a 5K was like 23 minutes.
Nice.
Which is like an 8-minute mile for 3 miles, which I felt really good about. And I wanted to continue improving on that. That was my freshman year of high school was when I was able to hit that time. And I was finally getting somewhere with it. And then I was diagnosed with Crohn's, and I had to be for the last 2 years, my sophomore and junior years, on the team. I was on a lot of meds every time the season rolled around. And it really affected my stamina. It changed my body. It was really difficult to run after that. Like I was on steroids for a while, and like the heart palpitations that I had while I was running, like I was
that's
like
scary.
It was painful.
Yeah,
so
right.
It was unfortunate. So that's why I didn't run my senior year, because I wanted to, but my health was not. It was just not fit for it.
Yeah.
And they still let me letter, which was really nice of them.
Aww.
Because I had been on the team for so long. But I don't. And I've been in more stable health since then, of course. There were a few times that I would go running in college, but now since I got hit by a car, I can't really run well anymore. My knees are not fit for it, and running is pretty strenuous on your knees
joints,
anyway.
yeah.
But it's tough. But if I'm going to exercise, it's still probably cardio, and my machine of choice is the elliptical.
Yeah.
I like bouncing.
I love cardio, but I have never run in my entire life, and I don't think I would. I can't physically run. Like I can't actually do it. Like I can maybe do it for like 1 minute, and then I'm done.
I'm convinced that if anyone was as whiny of a kid as I was, and I could still like learn to run.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. I think
I would have to like
really,
really build up to it. I've always wanted to do like some kind of race for charity or something, you know.
That's fun.
But
you exercise. Like you've got your stationary bike.
I exercise, and I have even a treadmill walking pad thing, but I'm a brisk walker, and I enjoy that. And
you walk fast.
Oh yeah. And on my like walking pad, I call it a walking pad instead of a treadmill because it's not a full blown treadmill. It's just like a walking pad. But on there, I go really.
Isn't it like the conveyor part of the treadmill?
Yeah, it's just the bottom part.
Okay.
I go really fast. I just don't. I'm not running. I wouldn't consider it running.
Right.
Does that make sense? So
right, because you're not like lifting your knees high enough, I guess.
Or I'm not even like lifting. I'm not lifting my feet off the ground either, like at all.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So I've tried to run. It's not a fun situation for me.
Yeah.
Not that not that Noah was asking me, but you know, it's fine.
No, I wanted you to answer, and Noah, I wish I could have more context because I wish I knew what sports you were involved in as well, but we do not. Have you ever done any other sports?
I've never played a sport in my life except
you've never played like an organized sport, when you were like a kid.
I have never once except cheerleading. Even
if
you consider that. I would consider cheerleading a sport when it gets like into
acrobatic,
the more harder stuff. But when I was a kid, it was like clapping our hands. Like,
I did that too.
So that's all. That is the only, because I did so much like singing and acting in theater. I didn't have time for anything else. That took up all my time, which I was happy for it to take up all my time because I was not athletic at all.
Did you do dance as a kid?
Yes, and I was terrible. Okay, yeah. Terrible. I did gymnastics. I did dance and gymnastics.
Okay. See, gymnastics is sport though.
I was tragically bad at it. Tragically bad. Tragically bad.
I did soccer actually. I don't know why I played soccer. I think it was because my brother played soccer.
Yeah.
But I think when I decided that I no longer wanted to, so I did soccer camp a few times during the summers. I did, I'm trying to think. I did gymnastics a little bit too. Yeah. I also did dance. But I think when I decided that I didn't want to play soccer anymore was when I realized just truly how blind I am. I was on an indoor soccer league. I think I was like 9, and it was it's a very vivid memory where I'm just kind of standing, vibing, you know, and my eyes register just a little too late that there is a ball headed exactly for the center of my face.
Oh no!
So I don't remember what on it hit, but it did involve bleeding, and I think I was like,
"Oh my gosh,
I'm good." I don't know if it cut my lip or like my nose or something, but it wasn't great.
Oh my gosh. I feel like we reference the Princess Diaries nearly every other episode on this podcast, but if anybody has seen the Princess Diaries,
I love the Princess Diaries.
When Mia is in PE
and she's trying to just catch one, Mia.
Just catch one. That's me. Like, my PE teacher hated me. Like, I was hated. That is Mia is me. I felt seen when I saw that in the movie. I was like, that's me.
I love her. I love the Princess Diaries.
I love that. So if another recommendation, if you haven't watched it.
Yeah.
So good.
If you haven't watched it in the last few months, you should go again.
That. You really should. It's just wonderful.
It's so good.
I think
those are all of our questions.
Yeah. This was so fun.
This was a blast. I would love to do this again in the future, maybe next year or something. So if you've got questions, do send them our way. And we'll try to, if you ask them now, we can answer them in the beginning of the following episodes or whatever. But we can also save them for future Q&A if you guys like it and want to do it again.
That's true. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted, and we hope you enjoyed it. We did.
We know we did. It's like a very niche Hillary Duff reference that Casey and I make to each other.
We quote it all the time.
We'll see you in 2 weeks. And if you're in the US, this next week that this episode comes out is Thanksgiving. So enjoy
happy Thanksgiving.
I love Thanksgiving, and I hope that you eat food and have just a lovely little time off and feel gratitude.
Yes, feel that gratitude.
Woo!
All right.
Bye!